Mr. Trump, I'm here because your CIA is saying that we Russians tried to make you win election.
I know, all lies made up by some very bitter people who need to move on.
So you trust me more than American CIA?
All I know is I won.
Wow. Wow, this guy is blowing my mind.
Saturday Night Live taking on this simmering tension between President-elect Trump and the U.S. intelligence community. Here with me to discuss this and much more, former Republican Congressman of Michigan Mike Rogers, a CNN national security commentator, Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell of Michigan, CNN political commentators Alice Stewart and Van Jones. Congressman, try to explain this to me. Why the friendliness to Putin, even at the expense of our own U.S. intelligence agencies? What is the game plan here from President-elect Trump, if there is one?
Well, I don't know. I would rethink their strategy a little bit. They're going to get the keys to every cabinet on January 21st. So they'll be able to do their own assessment on where they feel the intelligence community got it right or got it wrong. That I don't understand why you'd pick a fight early. But that being said, I do think that the president-elect is trying to find some places to work together with Russia, just like George W. Bush did, just like Barack Obama did, just like Hillary Clinton did. They all kind of came to that same train wreck at the end of the day in those conversations, but I think it's imperative for every president to believe that they're the ones that can bring an adversary to heel in certain places in the world and find that common ground. I think that's the same process going on with Donald Trump as it did all of our previous two other presidents.
Congresswoman, you represent a lot of voters in working class Michigan, many of whom who voted for Donald Trump, who won the state. What do they make of all this?
I don't think they know what to make. First of all, I think we got to remind ourselves that this is no longer politics. This is about national security. And I'm very reassured to hear John McCain, a leader in the Senate, be calling for a select committee. We have to remember this is about democracy, and that what Putin is trying to do is undermine people's confidence in institutions and democracy. So when we've got every intelligence agency saying, FBI, CIA, DIH, and Homeland Security saying the Russians tried to interrupt and to undermine people's confidence, we've got to look and know what's happening, and that's the responsibility of the Congress. The Constitution sets up checks and balances, and we've got to be responsible to make sure.
This is baffling to anybody with a functioning brainstem. I mean, we have to be honest about this. Yes, other presidents tried to say nice things about the Russians and other, warm things in their heart and they love, not in the face of an active attack on the country. Cyber war is real war. So you have an active attack on our country, and you have the president-elect cannot find it in himself to say this is wrong, and it needs to stop. Listen, he can respond personally to an attack. He can respond as a partisan to an attack, but he can't respond as a patriot to an attack. This is an attack on our country. And I just think that everybody's sitting here trying to pretend this is normal. This is not normal, and it's dangerous.
Do you think, Alice, that one of the things going on here is that President-elect Trump is concerned that any acknowledgement of the Russian hack, which all 17 U.S. intelligence agencies now agree happened,
right,
although they disagree about what the motive was, that any acknowledgement feeds a narrative that he's an illegitimate president? Is that the concern?
No, I think clearly there's one thing to keep in mind. There's one president at a time. And if you look at the cornerstone of Donald Trump's foreign policy, it is peace through strength, which is something that Putin will respond to. And let's not forget, I don't think we need to mistake the fact that he might be friendly towards Putin, that that's going to be the way he's going to proceed as president. And rewind 4 years ago in the debate with Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, when Mitt Romney voiced concerns about Russia being a top threat to this country, President Obama mocked him and wrote that off and has not been strong and pushed back against Russia for many years. So that brings us to this point that we're at now. So I think his weakness towards Russia has made Putin strong. And I think that is the big concern.
But there's a danger for the Trump presidency on this one. His brand is strong for America, not weak for Russia. And so he begins to open the door for people who do want to undermine his presidency by not being tough on this, and it literally makes zero sense.
Let me ask you a question, Congressman. Are you concerned at all? The real practical implications of this are there are NATO states right next to Russia, and what if Putin decides to try to go into the Baltics? Do you think that President Trump would send U.S. troops to dissuade Putin from doing that, or even from defend, or even to defend the Baltics?
You know, I know there've been lots of conversations about what does it look like to push back on the Russians. And so when you look at what happened in the last 8 years, you saw we really walked away from Ukraine. We walked away from the troop increase by Russians in this country of Georgia. We did this convoluted chemical deal that really alienated our allies in the Middle East with Russia, and it strengthened their ties with Iran. All of that pretty bad stuff. I think what you're seeing is a deal maker who comes in and says, I'm going to reset the negotiation table. I want to do a deal with you, but it's going to be under my conditions. I think that's what you're seeing set up. I don't have there's really nothing that I would believe that I've seen, certainly from my time dealing with people who are now in positions in the transition, that they would walk away from any aggressive activity with Russia. But I do think they're trying to say there's a different way we're going to do this. We're either going to do this with a tougher negotiation stance, peace through strength. We're going to increase our military presence. We're going to do better NATO operations. There's some talk about even going in and having joint operations in Poland and other places militarily. So I think that changes the conversation pretty quickly. We're getting hung up on this issue, but listen, America has been in a cyber war for at least 8 years, and we're not winning. And so this policy is now bubbled out in the public. I think this is a really strong opportunity for America to finally understand, listen, lots of nation states, Iran has been after us for 8 years. The Russians certainly have been after us for 8 years. For the president to make a phone call and say, well, cut that out, tells you how far we are behind in solid peace through strength diplomacy.